Yeah, it's pretty slow. Okay. And we are live. If you want to know how to minimize fraud in your company or your business, and also actionable steps to take to really protect your computer, your systems from fraud, you want to listen in for the next few minutes. And do share this video, tag it with another CEO, entrepreneur, business owner, because these are actionable, relevant tips, the latest tips that you want to hear today in our discussion. So, thank you so much, Edward, for joining us today. I have the computer doctor. And of course, as you hear the name doctor, you know that he is very equipped and has that experience to make the diagnosis and also recommend the prescription or the medication, right? So thank you so much, Edward, for joining. I do appreciate it and taking the time to really educate us in this area, because I do know it's an ongoing, I mean, it's like a revolving area. Like the more we think we're on top or ahead of fraud, then the fraudsters come with something even more advanced, right? So thank you so much for tuning in today. And as always, please say where you're from in the chat and tag another business owner. And if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. We'll be answering them. Edward. So,
Okay,
are you hearing me?
I do. Thank you, Kershaw.
Okay, great. So, thank you again for coming in. Okay, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Kershaw, for hosting the live event. I greatly appreciate you inviting me. And there's some things that I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to discuss about three important areas of computers. One is fraud, protecting yourself against fraud. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of email frauds. A lot of fraudulent emails come in, pretending to be from banks and trust companies, mortgage companies, saying that statements like your account has been compromised or your account is about to be suspended or closed, and they give you a link to click on. And clicking on the link,
Mm-hmm.
it's real, it looks legitimate, but it's not. It goes to a different website address where the hackers are. And then what they do is that they then take
Mm-hmm.
the information and they can start charging credit cards, cleaning out bank accounts, and doing other fraudulent acts as well. So the best way to protect yourself against email fraud like that is just delete it. And if you're concerned about it, the best thing to do is to contact the bank directly or even speak to somebody who you trust, who you know really well and trust. And I invite you to also contact me if you have any questions, if you need clarification. And that's the best thing of all to do. And also,
Okay, Edward. Okay, go ahead. I had a question, but go ahead.
sorry, what question would you like to ask?
Well, I wanted you to elaborate a bit on deleting that email. Does it matter if we open it and we realize that it is fraudulent and close it, or should we not even open it? What would you suggest there?
Well, when you're using your email browser or your email program, when it
Mhm.
shows email, it's also going to show in a separate window what the content is. The most
Yeah.
important is not to click on the link. That's the most
Okay.
important thing. And the other important thing is just to delete it.
Yeah.
And and other fraudulent emails also come necessarily from people who you know, and it has an attachment on there. And an attachment
Yeah.
could be a zip attachment saying the file name with a .zip or a .exe or some other file. So for that,
Hmm.
it's better to delete it, especially if you know that you're not expecting anything from someone who you know. It's fine to
Yeah.
open attachment if you're expecting it. If you know the person and
Hmm.
you know they're sending it to you like Excel spreadsheet attachment or a Microsoft Word attachment or even a PDF attachment. If you know and you're expecting to receive that and you know the person well, that's fine. But if you're getting an email from even somebody who you know, but it says file name .zip or .exe or anything else, and you know that you're not expecting anything, it's likely to be spam and fraud. So the best thing to do is to delete it.
Okay, thanks for that. Because I see it ever so often that you get this pop up. It looks real, and especially if it might say from the bank. Like I even got one from PayPal recently, and it was like you gotta click the link, you gotta call, and I was, I opened it and it just, I said, well, there's been no activity on my account. And when I contacted PayPal, they said, we never sent that email. So sometimes it's just that thin line. You think that it's coming from the provider, the financial institution, the client, and just having that double check makes a difference because we know, and it's something that I try to let a lot of persons know that we can never eliminate fraud. Our goal is always to minimize it and to be in ahead of the fraudsters because they're always trying to be more advanced themselves as well.
Indeed, exactly. And then
Yes.
also, when you're also browsing the internet, right when you're browsing, going to different websites, pop-up screens can sometimes appear saying there's a problem with
Mhm.
your computer. Click on this link or call this toll-free number. And those are also fraudulent because they don't know that you have an issue with your computer. They don't know. The
Yes.
only way that a technology company is going to reach out to you if you call them first and say that you
Yeah.
have an issue, then they give you a case number and then they'll then contact you. But if it's just out of the blue like that, then it is fraudulent. And I like to share a story about something that happened to me
Hmm.
and that I prevented it from
Yeah.
happening. I got a fraudulent call from somebody claiming to be from Microsoft on my phone, on my telephone, quite a few years
Hmm.
ago. And I knew it was a fraudulent call right away. The person was quite aggressive and very insistent on getting into my. So I kept asking the
Yeah.
question, how do you know I have a problem in my computer? You're not remotely. How do you know?
Yeah.
And kept evading the question. I kept asking it over and over again, and the person kept evading my question. So finally, after about 10 minutes, I said, look, I'm a Microsoft certified professional. My computer's fine. And the person hung up on me. Usually it's the other way around. He hung up on me. So that's
That's funny.
when you get calls on your phone, people claiming to be from Microsoft or from some other technology company or even the Canada Revenue Agency, wanting information, wanting access to your details or your computer. The same with banks and trust companies. Just put the phone down. Just hang up. Just say,
Yeah.
no, no, not interested. Put the phone down. And then, when in doubt, contact the proper place directly because banks will not ask for your information like that. The Canada
Yeah.
Revenue Agency will not ask for information over the phone and tell you to pay your taxes over the phone with payment cards. That's not how
Okay.
they work.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so interesting because it's like the more the information is there, don't do it, don't do it. We're still seeing persons still giving in, still getting afraid, overwhelmed by these phone calls, and again, leading to them being victims of fraud. It's really alarming, right? Because, like you said, that person was just pressuring you. And I know a lot of, I've heard of experiences. You're going to go to jail, you're going to have to leave the country, so many things. And in that moment, you're like so overwhelmed and afraid. So you give in. So it is so important that we keep this. Initiative going to really get that education, that information out there to business owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs that don't do it, don't give in, right?
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even in my mobile phone, I got a few
Mm-hmm.
voicemail messages from the Canada Revenue Agency. While they were fake calls, they were fake, fraudulent, and they were saying that this is the Canada Revenue Agency calling their legal department. There's a warrant out for my arrest unless I call this number and pay with a payment card, like a prepaid card or something. And of course, I never called them back
Yeah.
because I know fraud, and I log into my own platform, and I know that I don't know anything
Yeah.
anyways. These are all fraudsters. Nothing to do with just don't even give them the time or when in doubt, just call the proper number of the Canada Revenue Agency or even go onto their website or talk to someone who you trust, like your accountant or your tax preparist or your estate planner. Uh, Talk to someone who you trust. And
Yes.
I'm sure they're going to mention the same thing. Sure, they're going to give you the same suggestions that I'm giving. It's just don't bother talking
Okay,
to.
great. Thanks. So the other thing I want us to touch on is backing up our data. There's so many, there are horror stories. Your computer went down, everything is lost. There's an option now with the cloud. So I want you to talk about what are the best practices with backing up data, not only for those who might have a little system going, but for standalone computers, because there are some business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, they're at the stage where they're still using a desktop or a laptop or even an iPad. So, what are the best practices in terms of backing up data?
All right. There's actually two really good ways to back up your data. It has to be on a continuous backup plan. And for our
Okay.
customers, we help customers using a portable USB storage device, at least 1 terabyte or more. And then recently, we've been assisting several of our clients. They connect the device, and then we go in remotely and we actually set it up for them. And then we go in
Oh,
once a
nice.
month to check and make sure that the data backup is up to date. So many
Mm-hmm.
computers now do have Windows 10. So there's a special utility called Windows 10 File History, which which backs up all of your data files, like your Word documents, your Excel spreadsheets, your PDF, Adobe documents, everything that's in most of your profile folders, like your documents, your pictures, your videos, your desktop, your downloads. That's all like pre-configured through the Windows 10 file history backup. So it does it gets it done automatically. You still have to do it the first time to set it up, and then after that, it's done automatically. But though it's automatically, you still need to check in and make sure that it is doing it. So what we've been doing
Exactly.
with, so what we've been doing with our clients who are on our plan, we go in every month and we check to make sure it's being done properly and that it's backing it up properly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other method for backing up your data is using a cloud environment. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where the data is backed up securely over the internet to a dedicated environment in the cloud. So it's on many different cloud based servers, on loads of different ones. And it's a space reserved for you. And some of the
Okay.
cloud uh, some of them, for instance, ID Seal provides one of those. Also, like Norton, Mcafee offers their own cloud backup. So does Carbonite, and there's a few other ones as well that offer cloud-based backups.
Okay.
And and people do get the misconception. A lot of people ask me, "What about when I'm using my OneDrive or my Google
Yes.
Drive? Is my stuff being backed up?" So that's a misconception. For OneDrive and for Google Drive and even Dropbox, it's not actually a backup for your data. It's called file sync and share, which means that if you go with your notebook computer to another area or another country for that matter, you can access the data. It's synced and shared that way, but it's not an actual backup. So
That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
our backup still needs to be put in place, and we do help our customers with that. And backup
Yeah.
is an
Thank you for that because, yeah.
Sure. And I just wanted to add one more thing. Think of data backup like an insurance policy. You're insuring your data to make
Hmm.
sure that if
Yeah.
something hits your computer, you have your data. Think of it like that. That you're getting an extra
Hmm.
policy to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Because then you want to always have that option in case something goes wrong. It's like there's this law in science, Einstein's law, that is, something may go wrong, it will go wrong. Just never know. So I
Right.
always like to be more prepared than under prepared for sure. So the last thing we'll touch on is security for computers. What's your suggestions there? What's the best things or options that should be explored in terms of securing your computer? Because I do know that with a Wi-Fi, you have a password, which kind of like limits those who have access. But with a computer, how is that? What are the best practices with securing your computer? And again, for those who might have a standalone computer or those who might have several computers in a little network, everybody's office is different these days.
All right. Well, for our company, we use two different ones. We use Kaspersky
Hmm.
Internet Security, which is a very good security, and it protects our
Hmm.
computers and it protects many people's computers from viruses, worms, and adware and malware and spyware. It also protects
Hmm.
against hackers, people trying to break into your
Yeah.
computer. Does have some, it has some protection where it can detect ransomware. And it also has what they call safe browsing. So, what it means is that
Hmm.
you want to go to an online bank or you want to go to PayPal or you want to do some kind of financial transaction, a safe browser appears. It's the same browser that you're using, it's just that it's green around it and it says safe
Yeah.
browser be enabled, and it gives you a more safer environment to do your financial transaction. So that's a very good one to use. And the other
Okay.
one that we've also been using for many years is Mcafee Internet Security, which is also very good. And it also gives the
Hmm.
same protection. It'll tell you if a website is legitimate or not. It'll warn you not to
Yeah.
go to this site. And then it also again has the same similar features of preventing viruses, malware, adware, and spyware, and a certain degree of ransomware, as well as keeping the hackers out of your computer.
Hmm.
And for computers, like for instance, in my organization, in my home office, we have uh, couple of tablets, we have a smartphone, we have an all in one computer, a notebook computer, and a desktop computer. So, the way that we have our
Hmm.
Wi Fi set up with TELUS, we have, uh, we have a password. So, somebody who
Yeah.
might be standing at the back of our building outside won't be able to access our Wi Fi because there's a unique
Hmm.
password attached to it. So, and because
Okay.
that prevents somebody from getting into our Wi-Fi to start using our internet.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much for that because I do know there are so many options, and sometimes as a business owner and entrepreneur CEO, it does get so overwhelming. Like, what's the best way? There's so many options pulling at you. So it pays to know that you're giving us these tips and that option as well to connect with you for challenges. And last thing I want us to touch on is the cleaning of the computers. How does that impact the whole security? Because sometimes your computers are there for years, you've never been like having manual clean this, does that impact, in the
Yeah,
whole functioning of the computer, leading to security as well?
well, for the physical cleaning of the computers, we do recommend a cleaning at least once a year where the computer is
Okay.
physically cleaned out. There are key ventilation areas, even in notebook computers, there are ventilation areas that need to be kept clear because if the ventilation
Okay.
areas get clogged and congested with dust, then air can't get in and out, and then things are going to start overheating on the inside. So at least once a
Yeah.
year to clean out the dust. And then it's not only
Hmm.
just doing that that we provide, we also do system diagnostics. In essence, having a medical exam done to the computer to make sure that there's no
Okay.
underlying, making sure that all the components are fine, the devices are fine that are inside the computer, and then there are special utilities that are used to ensure that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that, Edward. I know this has been so insightful, and I do appreciate the practical tips because it's, at times as CEOs, entrepreneurs, and business owners, the key question is always what to do. Like we have all this information, but what is that next step? What is it that I should do or I should not do? So thank you so much. Do let us know, where can persons contact you and reach out to you, follow up with you? What's the
Indeed,
best way?
our email address, which is edward.lissac at
Mhm.
computerageservice.com, and our local phone number in Vancouver is 604-435-8254. And we also have a toll free number of 1-855-639-4449. And also contacting me by voice or text directly to my smartphone, which is area code
Okay.
647-982-3401. We are located in Vancouver, British Columbia, and we have a team of service reps in the Vancouver area as well as in Calgary. And in Toronto, we have dedicated service reps serving our client base in those locations.
Okay, great. So you don't have to be in the Vancouver area. There are so many remote options. So persons
Oh,
across, the country can definitely reach out. Okay.
absolutely. We're doing virtual remote support. We're also offering
Mhm.
a our complimentary discovery session, consultation and assessment for anyone who wants to book that. Feel free to email us and we'll get in touch with you to book that. And it's just
Mhm.
to on the activities that are being done on your computer now, what kind of challenges there are, and then what the goals and objectives are, and the planning to what
Yeah.
you want doing on the computer, and then we then put together some recommendations and our service plan offerings.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Edward. And Edward, you'll be leaving your information in the chat as well. So for persons who just want to just go straight to reaching out, they can see the information in the chat and the contact information. So I thank
Do
you
that.
so much again, Edward. This has been so enlightening and informative. And those listening in, those catching the replay, do remember to share this video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and of course, state where you're from as well. And do remember as entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business owners, it is so important to ensure that you are taking these steps to minimize being a victim of fraud, securing your computer as well as backing up your data. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be signing off now. So thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks again, Edward.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Chris. I greatly appreciate